So hi and welcome to another one. I've gone a little bit off my original plan to sort of go through each one of the blogs I'd done, and I've gone straight into one that's pretty topical at the moment rather than dragging up an old horse later on. So this one's about the Sad Satan game that came supposedly from the deep web. I've been looking into this. I found it kind of interesting. It occupied about a week's worth of my time in dipping into forums and whatnot. So I've kind of figured I might as well cover it, get it over and done with, and then anyone else that wants to make a comment about it can. So supposedly this game comes off the deep web. It's sort of it's a free-to-play game if you can get hold of it, and so like Slenderman, Craven Manor, those kind of things, they're supposedly spooky games, but because it came off the deep web, it's got a bit more notoriety. So originally it was uploaded with some footage from Obscure Horror Corner on YouTube. Normally he seemed to have just posted little indie games. This was no different, but because he had claimed to have been passed the link via the deep web, that's why it got some entertainment value, I suppose. And the claim is that it came from an unlisted website. So to get access to it, you would have needed Tor or something like that to get into it. And then the game seems to reference a lot of taboo subjects and things that are really considered quite, dark and nasty. So there's references to Charles Manson, and in the game there's supposedly some real life horror pictures, weird sound bites. Now, originally he claimed that he was playing it, filmed some of it, and then deleted the games and the links, saying that The Dead was a link one. The story got picked up by Kotaku, which is a gaming website, and so people were sort of questioning the validity of it. The reason for this is that the game link had a letter 9 in the link thread, and apparently, according to people that know more than I do, there's something to do with number 9 in an onion link that makes it an invalid one. So not long after, the website 4chan then had a user that claimed they'd got the original link. They were the ones that had provided it to him, and so naturally curious people went off clicking and downloading. So what they found were supposedly files containing graphic pictures of the aforementioned graphic nature and something to do with children and abuse, which I'm not happy to discuss here. So that one's being skipped over. If people really don't like that, it's kind of tough. It's just not something I suppose even warrants the time and day. So there were stories about affecting computers to the point of them needing to rebuild them, strange files. People were worried that it was allowing them to find ways back to these users, the fact that it got all sorts of things like in it. So it seems that if this guy had originally created it or had got the link, then he'd played it, downloaded a ton of this stuff, possibly cleaned it up for the surface web, who knows. But anyway, what happened after that was there was a cleaned up version that someone made on Reddit. Blind Stark is the user, so he made one that was available for download without the graphic images in it, probably the one that you see going around. Now, to use the game you need Terra Engine. I generally just found it tedious to try and bother to set it up, so I've not. In fact, the general consensus seems to be that someone's created the game, and then when it was challenged, a far worse one has been released upon an unsuspecting crowd. And so why is it of interest? Well, let's be honest, it's one of those things. It came from the dark web. It's given itself its own little background story. Look at how Slenderman took on it, however, Slenderman not being quite to this level. So within it is the audio of things like number stations. They use the Swedish Rhapsody, one of them being a reversed number station of Russian Man. And then they've also used clips from the Led Zeppelin song Stairway to Heaven. So for the most part, it's kind of actually just things that you can get hold of quite easily, and probably even stock noises. There's no copyright on them, so that kind of thing. And then there's things like audio from a speech made by Hitler that's been slowed down. There's a bit from Charles Manson, which is an interview from MSNBC, which is, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left. There's further use of this in various interviews. The other audio source appears to be the Chinese song I Love Benjamin Tiananmen, possibly trying to loosely reference it into the Tiananmen massacre. So again, audio continues through. There's a reverse speech from Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols, the idea that he was linked to Jimmy Savile. After that, you've got more interviews, probably either Rotten or someone like that. Then there's this what appears to be stock audio of people crying and sobbing. A lot of people have said it's stock anyway. Final part is a slowed down part of Scarborough Fair from Simon and Garfunkel. Then you've got the Doors Alabama song, and the one that a few people picked up on was that he's put a quote in there from Jimmy Savile, who is now famous for this engagement with underage people in sexual acts, which is, haven't broken any laws, have you? And he says none whatsoever. So given the events of what happened, it was pretty creepy. The imagery that's used is also quite interesting. So there's photographs of some people like Walter Sanders taken of Franz Joseph, the 9th Prince of Thurn, and taxis. There's not really anything creepy about him, it's just a creepy picture. In the second part, we've got JFK before he was shot, released loosely to these conspiracy theorists and claims of paedophilia. Again, a speculation about the CIA covering it up. There's an image of the photographer Roger Ballen's shadow chamber is used, which is a picture of a child that has had their head in the clothes, giving the strange impression they are headless. However, the collection is actually quite cool if you want to look at it. So that's Roger Ballen. There's more stuff with Jimmy Savile, Margaret Thatcher. If you want to look this up, it's on your own time. It's not something I'm going to waste my mind going to. About 450 people had made complaints about this guy's conduct, and it's said that it was all covered up. So in the video, there's in nomine de Satanas Luciferi Excelsi showing up. It's effectively translated in the name of God, Satan, Lucifer on high. It's sort of a black mass ritual citation. The third video provides more information about coded text, which is I can track you, you are on my list, 5th victim, all sorts of things like this. So it seems to be sort of subliminal messaging, coding, shock tactics. So, still here? Okay. Part 4 gives us an image of Rolf Harris, another person that was brought to the forefront about child molestations. And then we've got Lady Justice, the idea that the abhorrent themes and natures of these things, maybe that it's to try and home in on the justice section. But to be honest, right, okay, so I was going to go down a route about how it seems like a flash to the idea that they will receive their justice or something like that. Honestly, I just think it's in there. I don't think you can read any more into it. So there's all sorts of different things that just continues to go on. So yeah, basically it seems to have just picked all the shock tactic ones and thrown them all together. So if you want my honest opinion, I think it's a hoax. Someone that's got quite artistic. They spent some time playing with a terror engine, and then because it was claimed as it was on the deep web, and it became just a little bit more interesting. Doesn't mean that these things that are seeing in it are things that aren't going to shock you. It's just, if you take out the really bad things, then actually it's just another piss poorly made game. I don't know how else to explain it. The reason I suppose people find it interesting is it's going to be shocking, you're going to be frightened. These things are the kind of things that come from Silk Road and buying drugs and all the bad things on the internet. Well, actually there are some nice things. So if I take, for instance, one of the deep websites that I think is quite cute is a lovely site with 2,000 cat facts. So yeah, it's not all bad. It's just people pick the extremes of these things because, well, they create more attention. They're going to get clicks, they're going to get links, you're going to be interested in them because they seem bad. So yeah, sure, go download it, but don't complain when your computer goes to poo, because I think there's enough warnings out there. So what do we actually have as facts? OOC, which is Obscure Horror Channel, has 5 videos, claimed to find the game, hasn't got the original download, and then after saying he deleted these videos and were just loading snippets, they seem to come in and edited and surprisingly regular release whilst the interest was there. The links that are now found are either from Reddit users, that have got the Reddit user that's cleaned it up, or they're from the ones that have been hacked and they've put, child porn and gore in them, basically, so at your own risk. The overall theme is about children. You could say it could be a victim of this theme, or perhaps more disturbingly, someone who finds it interesting and gets off on it. I'm just putting this here as an out there. I'm not sure. Deep web, invisible web, blah blah blah, makes it more of the talking point. If it was just uploaded and put on YouTube, no one would have cared. I don't think. It's not exactly exciting. And like I say, to me, it looks boring. I'm sorry if I am the only one that says this, but other than the noises and the rumours and the things that are coming from it, it just looks like a poorly made exploration game with shock noises and shock tactics. So if you are the creator and you went to all those lengths to try and get attention, I'd probably say hats off, you did it. Achievement unlocked if that's what you're going for. For me, however, the mystery's over. There's nothing exciting in there. So yeah, thanks ever so much.